The massive alien ship cast a shadow over the United Nations building in New York, its metallic surface gleaming in the morning sun. Inside the General Assembly Hall, Earth's military leaders sat in tense silence as the alien delegation made their way to the podium. The aliens' leader, Admiral Red, stood tall with his crimson scales reflecting the bright lights from above. "Your species," Admiral Red began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into English, "has finally achieved enough technological progress to warrant our attention." He paused, looking down at the assembled human leaders with what could only be described as amusement in his four eyes. General James Miller, commander of Earth's combined military forces, gripped the armrests of his chair. 40 years of military service hadn't prepared him for this moment. Next to him, Admiral Mary Wilson of the Global Naval Command kept her face carefully neutral, though her knuckles were white from clenching her fists. The alien presentation began. Holographic images filled the air above the podium, showing Earth's military bases, ships, and aircraft. Each image was accompanied by detailed analysis from the Galactic Council's military experts. "Your most advanced aircraft can barely achieve Mach 3, another alien official noted, his blue scales rippling with what looked like laughter. "Our basic transport vessels are faster than your best fighters." General Miller watched as they systematically dismissed every aspect of Earth's military capability. They mocked the armor of Earth's most advanced tanks, calling them tin cans. They laughed at the range of human missiles, describing them as primitive projectiles. Even Earth's nuclear deterrent was dismissed as barely enough to scratch our smallest ships. The atmosphere in the room grew heavier with each passing minute. Some military leaders shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others sat stone-faced, enduring the humiliation. Admiral Red raised his clawed hand, displaying a hologram of Earth's entire military force. "Your total combined military strength," he announced, "would struggle to defeat even a small planetary defense force in our empire. Your weapons are obsolete, your tactics are predictable, and your defenses are—" He paused, searching for the right word. "Laughable." In the back of the room, Captain Robert Drake of Special Operations watched silently. Unlike his superiors, a small smile played at the corners of his mouth. These aliens were making the oldest mistake in the book, judging a book by its cover. Admiral Red's voice grew serious. "The Galactic Council has reached a decision. Earth will submit to our protection and oversight. Your military forces will be reduced and placed under our command. This is not a request." His four eyes swept across the room. "You have 1 Earth month to comply. Resistance would be unwise." As the alien delegation left the chamber, the room erupted into heated discussions. General Miller turned to Admiral Wilson, speaking in a low voice. "They don't understand us at all, do they?" Admiral Wilson shook her head slightly. "No, they don't. They see our weapons, our vehicles, our numbers. But they miss everything that makes human warfare unique." Captain Drake approached them, still wearing that slight smile. "Permission to speak freely, sir." General Miller nodded. "They're looking at our hardware, not our software," Drake said quietly. "They see our guns, but not our guerrilla tactics. They count our soldiers, but ignore our strategy. They measure our strength, but overlook our spirit." General Miller stood up, straightening his uniform. "Get me the president on the line, and contact every major military power. It's time to show these aliens what happens when they underestimate humanity." As the leaders filed out of the room, the hologram of Earth's military forces still floated above the podium, rotating slowly. What the aliens had dismissed as weak and primitive was about to prove them very, very wrong. The clock was ticking. 1 month to prepare. 1 month to show the galaxy why humanity had survived countless wars, disasters, and challenges. 1 month to prove that sometimes the deadliest weapon isn't the biggest ship or the strongest armor. It's the species they just made the mistake of underestimating. 3 days after the ultimatum, the alien inspection teams arrived. They came in sleek ships that hovered over military bases worldwide, their scanning technology prodding every tank, plane, and warship on Earth. The Galactic Council's military experts moved with cold efficiency, documenting what they saw as Earth's military inadequacies. At Fort Bradley, the largest military training facility in North America, Major Tom Parker watched as an alien inspector named Green Eye examined a line of M1 Abrams tanks. The alien's scanning device hummed, and his upper lip curled in what Parker had learned was their expression of disgust. These vehicles, Green Eye said through his translator, use primitive chemical propellants and basic ballistic armor that wouldn't last 10 seconds against our light assault vehicles. He made a series of clicking sounds that the translator didn't bother converting, probably laughter. Parker kept his face neutral, but his mind was racing. While the alien focused on the tank's specifications, he had completely ignored the crew's training manuals, the complex battle tactics, and the decades of combat experience that made these primitive vehicles deadly in human hands. In the command center, Colonel White was giving the aliens a tour of their communication systems. The alien team leader, a tall figure with silver scales called High Commander Vale, studied the equipment with obvious disdain. Your entire communications network relies on easily disrupted electromagnetic waves, Vale noted, shaking his head. Even your most secure channels could be broken by our basic decryption algorithms. What Vale failed to notice was Lieutenant Anna Reed in the corner, quietly documenting every piece of technology the aliens carried. Every scanner, every translator, every piece of equipment they so carelessly displayed while mocking Earth's technology. She had already filled 3 notebooks with detailed observations. The inspection moved to the training grounds, where soldiers were conducting standard drills. The aliens watched with amusement as troops practiced urban warfare techniques. Such inefficient use of energy, one inspector commented. Why do they crawl through mud when they could use anti-gravity units? Parker bit back a smile. The aliens saw soldiers crawling through mud but missed the lessons being learned: adaptability, endurance, and the ability to fight when technology fails. They watched troops practice hand-to-hand combat and called it primitive, not understanding that sometimes the quietest solutions were the most effective. In the evening, the inspection team gathered in the base's conference room to compile their reports. Their holographic displays showed detailed analyses of Earth's military capabilities, all focused on raw numbers, weapon yields, and technological specifications. Their entire orbital defense system could be destroyed by a single battlecruiser, Vale announced to his team. Their nuclear weapons are barely worth mentioning, and their conventional forces are hopelessly outmatched. Outside the conference room, Parker met with Colonel White and Lieutenant Reed in a secure underground bunker, 20 levels below the base. Around them, dozens of officers were quietly coordinating with military bases worldwide through old-fashioned hardline connections the aliens hadn't even bothered to check for. They think they know everything about us now, Colonel White said, looking at the reports coming in from other bases. Every single inspection team is showing the same pattern. They're measuring our strength purely by their standards. Lieutenant Reed opened her notebooks. They've given us more intelligence in 3 days than we could have gathered in a year. Every piece of technology they've shown us, every casual demonstration of their capabilities. It's all documented. Parker nodded, studying the global map marked with hundreds of small dots, hidden bunkers, secret facilities, and underground bases that the alien scanners had dismissed as geological anomalies. They think they're assessing us, Parker said quietly, but we're the ones gathering real intelligence. They expect us to fight their way, stand in a line, ship against ship, tank against tank. They'd forgotten the most important lesson of human military history. Colonel White finished the thought. The most dangerous enemy is the one you think you've already beaten. As night fell over Fort Bradley, the alien inspection teams retired to their ships, confident in their assessment of Earth's military weakness. Below ground, in bunkers and secret rooms across the planet, Humanity began to prepare a response that would teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating the human spirit. 2 weeks had passed since the alien inspections began. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Miller studied the massive wall of screens showing military activities around the world. Each screen told the same story. The aliens were watching everything, yet seeing nothing. On one screen, in the Amazon rainforest, a group of soldiers moved silently through the dense undergrowth. Their movements looked clumsy to the alien observers monitoring from orbit. The aliens had noted in their reports that human soldiers were inefficient for not using anti-gravity packs to simply float above such obstacles. "They don't understand jumbo warfare at all," Captain Drake said, standing beside the general. "They think fighting is all about technology. They've never had to become one with their environment." Another screen showed operations in the Arctic Circle. Here, human troops were conducting what appeared to be basic survival training. The alien reports had dismissed these exercises as primitive endurance tests. They didn't realize they were watching specialized Arctic warfare units practicing techniques that had been perfected over centuries. "Look at this," Admiral Wilson pointed to a screen showing naval exercises in the Pacific. On the surface, it looked like routine patrol movements, but hidden beneath the waves, a complex network of underwater bases was being established. The alien scans, calibrated to detect high-technology energy signatures, had completely missed these low-tech but highly effective installations. In the Sahara Desert, what the aliens thought was a simple military supply depot was actually the entrance to an enormous underground complex. Troops moved in and out, their activities disguised as routine supply runs. "Their biggest mistake," General Miller said, "is thinking that warfare is all about who has the biggest guns." He gestured to a screen showing urban warfare training in abandoned cities. "They don't understand that humans have been fighting since before we had technology. We've learned to use everything around us as a weapon." Lieutenant Reed entered the command center with her latest intelligence report. "The aliens have completely overlooked our weather monitoring stations," she announced. "They think they're just for predicting storms. They don't realize we've learned to use weather patterns in warfare." The screens showed more activities the aliens had dismissed. Troops training with simple paper maps alongside high-tech GPS, soldiers practicing hand signals and silent communication, units learning to fight with minimal equipment. What looked like primitive methods to the aliens were actually backup plans for when technology failed. "Here's what they really don't get," Captain Drake said, pointing to various screens. "Every weakness they've identified is actually a strength. They think we're weak because we train for fighting without technology. But that means we can fight even if they disable our tech." In another part of the facility, engineers worked on what appeared to be regular civilian vehicles. The aliens had barely glanced at Earth's civilian infrastructure, not understanding that humans had mastered the art of converting peaceful technology for warfare when needed. "They think war is about standing army against standing army," Admiral Wilson observed. "They've never faced an enemy that can turn its entire civilization into a fighting force." General Miller nodded, watching as more reports came in from around the world. Earth's forces were preparing in ways the aliens couldn't comprehend. Every dismissed tactic, every overlooked strategy, every primitive method was being honed into a weapon. "Our greatest advantage," Miller said, "is that they think they know all our capabilities. Their arrogance has made them blind." As the day continued, Earth's true military strength grew, not in the ways the aliens measured, but in the countless methods humans had developed over millennia of conflict. The aliens were looking for advanced weapon systems, but humans were preparing to show them that true military might wasn't just about technology. In their ships above Earth, the alien observers continued to write their reports, confident in their assessment of human weakness. Below them, humanity quietly prepared to teach them why it was dangerous to judge an enemy's strength by your own standards. The Mars colony gleamed under the red planet's dusty sky. From orbit, it looked peaceful, just a small collection of domes and tunnels housing Earth's first off-world settlement. Admiral Red stood on his flagship's bridge, staring at the colony's main dome with all four eyes narrowed in anger. "They refuse to allow our inspection teams access," he growled to his officers. "These humans think they can defy the Galactic Council's authority." His scales flickered with red anger patterns. It's time to show them the cost of disobedience. Inside the Mars colony's main control center, Commander Jack Stone watched the alien ships gathering in orbit. Next to him, his second-in-command, Major Lisa Roberts, studied the tactical displays showing 5 alien warships moving into attack positions. "They took the bait," Stone said quietly, "just like Earth Command predicted." The alien ships were impressive, each one larger than anything humans had built. Their weapons could easily punch through what appeared to be the colony's basic defensive shields. The aliens had already calculated that it would take less than an hour to force the colony's surrender. Admiral Red's voice boomed through the colony's communication system. "This is your final warning. Allow our inspection teams to enter, or we will take control by force. Your weak shields and outdated weapons cannot stop us." Stone pressed the response button. "This is Commander Stone. We are a civilian research colony. We have no military capabilities." He paused, then added, "We simply wish to maintain our independence." In his command ship, Admiral Red made a sound that his translator didn't bother converting. "Scan their defenses again," he ordered. The results showed exactly what previous scans had revealed: basic life support systems, minimal power generation, and defensive shields that would crumble under any serious attack. "Begin the operation," Red commanded. "Minimal force only. We don't want to damage the facility we're about to take over." His officers moved to comply, confident in their overwhelming superiority. The first alien ship descended toward the colony, its weapons powered up just enough to disable the shield generators. Behind it, the other ships maintained orbit, ready to support but not expecting to be needed. In the colony's control center, Major Roberts watched the tactical display. "They're following the exact approach pattern intelligence predicted. Single ship, others holding back, minimal weapons charge." Stone nodded, his face showing no emotion. "They think they're being generous by using minimal force. That's what happens when you underestimate your enemy." He pressed a button on his console. "All units, prepare for Phase 1. The alien ship was now less than a kilometer above the colony. Its sensors showed nothing unusual, just the same weak power signatures and basic defense systems they'd detected before. Admiral Red watched from orbit, already bored with what he considered a simple disciplinary action. "Once we have control of this colony," he told his officers, "the rest of their off-world settlements will fall in line." Suddenly, his tactical officers' instruments began screaming alerts. "Admiral, new energy signatures. They're coming from everywhere." The simple Mars colony transformed before their eyes. Hidden doors in the Martian surface slid open, revealing weapon emplacements the alien scans had never detected. The colony's weak power signature exploded into a complex web of energy readings that their sensors couldn't even classify. "Impossible," Red shouted as his tactical displays filled with new threats. "Their technology level couldn't hide this from our scans." In the colony's control center, Stone allowed himself a small smile. "We didn't use technology to hide our defenses," he said quietly, though only his fellow humans could hear him. "We used the planet itself. Sometimes the old ways work best." The trap was set. The aliens had taken the bait, thinking they were dealing with a helpless civilian colony. Now they were about to learn why humans had survived countless wars through the ages, not just through strength, but through cunning, deception, and the careful planning of every detail. Stone's voice was calm as he gave the order that would change everything. "Begin Operation Awakening." Operation Awakening began with silence. No explosions, no dramatic weapons fire, just the quiet opening of hundreds of hidden doors in the Martian surface. The alien ship hovering above the colony didn't even notice at first. "Energy signatures are still climbing," Major Roberts reported calmly. "They're trying to scan us, but the Martian dust storms are interfering with their sensors." She didn't mention that these storms weren't natural. They were part of the plan, created by weather control systems hidden beneath the surface. Commander Stone watched his display as green lights indicated all systems were ready. They thought we chose this location because it was the easiest place to build, he said. They never considered we chose it because it was the perfect place for an ambush. In orbit, Admiral Red's confusion turned to alarm as his sensors finally began to make sense of what they were seeing. The simple colony was actually a complex military installation, built inside the planet itself. His tactical officer's voice shook as he reported, "Sir, we're detecting weapon signatures unlike anything in our database." The first phase of humanity's counterattack didn't come from the colony. It came from beneath the alien ship. The Martian soil itself seemed to come alive, special nano-enhanced sand rising in a controlled cloud. Within seconds, the alien vessel's hull was covered in microscopic machines that began interfering with their systems. What is this primitive trickery? Red demanded as reports of failing systems flooded in from the ship below. They're using the dust as a weapon. Stone's voice came over the communication channel, no longer playing the role of a helpless colony commander. You studied our weapons, he said, but did you study our history? Humans learned long ago that the environment itself can be the greatest weapon. The next phase began. Hidden bunkers opened to reveal not the advanced energy weapons the aliens expected, but something they'd never encountered. Hybrid weapons that combined simple physical principles with advanced technology. Railguns using gravity manipulation. Kinetic launchers enhanced by magnetic fields. Weapons that the aliens' advanced shields weren't designed to stop. Impossible. Red watched in horror as his ship's shields failed against weapons that shouldn't have been a threat. Their technology level. They couldn't have built this. You're right, Stone replied as the trap fully sprung. We didn't build a high-tech fortress. We built something better. A low-tech fortress enhanced by carefully chosen advanced technology. Something your sensors weren't designed to detect. The alien ship tried to retreat, but the Martian dust had already compromised its engines. From the surface, more surprises emerged. Teams of soldiers in specialized suits moved with practiced precision, using the low gravity and terrain they trained in for years. Major Roberts coordinated the ground teams. Units 1 through 4 continue dust cloud operations. Units 5 through 8 begin surface-to-ship boarding procedures. The soldiers moved like they'd rehearsed this 1,000 times, because they had. The remaining alien ships in orbit prepared to intervene, but they faced their own surprises. Hidden satellites, disguised as debris from old Mars missions, suddenly activated. The orbital battle began, but it wasn't the type of battle the aliens knew how to fight. We studied every record of your previous conquests, Stone explained to the increasingly panicked alien commander. You always expect high-tech resistance. You're prepared for advanced weapons and shields. But you're not prepared for an enemy that combines simple physics with strategic technology. The alien ship, its systems failing and its crew confused by tactics they'd never encountered, was forced to surrender. The other ships, facing an orbital defense network they hadn't detected and attacks they didn't understand, retreated to a safe distance. In the control center, Stone and Roberts watched as human forces secured their first victory against the alien fleet. Send the message to Earth Command, Stone ordered. Phase 1 successful. The galaxy's about to learn why humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons. It's our ability to use everything around us as a weapon. In orbit, Admiral Red stared at the red planet's surface with new respect and fear. They had completely underestimated these humans, and now they were about to pay the price for that mistake. News of the Mars colony victory reached the Galactic Council's war room within hours. Admiral Red's defeat had shifted the entire situation. The Council's supreme commander, a towering figure known as Battlemaster, slammed his fist on the tactical display. Send in the main fleet, he ordered. No more games, no more simple disciplinary actions. Show these humans what real military power looks like. On Earth, General Miller watched the massive alien fleet approaching through the solar system. Over 500 warships, each one bigger than anything humanity had ever built. The alien ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons charged and ready. "They're finally taking us seriously," Miller said to his command staff. "Now they'll make their second big mistake. They'll overcompensate." The alien fleet split into 3 groups. One headed for Mars to recapture the colony. Another moved to destroy Earth's orbital defenses. The third and largest group positioned itself for a direct assault on Earth. In the hidden command center, Admiral Wilson studied the tactical displays. "They're following standard invasion protocols, just like intelligence predicted." She turned to her staff. "Begin Operation Thunderstorm." The alien fleet encountered their first surprise before they even reached the moon. Earth's orbital defense network wasn't where their scans showed it would be. Instead of finding military satellites and defense platforms, they found thousands of small, seemingly harmless weather satellites. "These can't be their defenses," Battlemaster growled from his command ship. "Their military installations must be hidden somewhere." He was right, but not in the way he thought. As the alien fleet moved closer, Earth's true defense plan revealed itself. Those harmless weather satellites were part of a global weather control system. Suddenly, the space around Earth filled with artificial storms of incredible power. Impossible. Battlemaster watched as his perfectly ordered fleet formation broke apart in the face of magnetically charged storms that their shields weren't designed to handle. "They're using their atmosphere as a weapon." On Earth, Admiral Wilson gave the next order: begin ground phase. Across the planet, what the aliens had dismissed as civilian infrastructure sprang to life. Power plants that seemed primitive by alien standards began channeling energy in ways the aliens had never seen. Transportation networks transformed into military supply lines. Even the old satellite TV dishes realigned themselves, becoming part of a planet-wide communication network that the aliens couldn't jam. The alien fleet trying to recapture Mars found itself caught between the planet's weaponized dust storms and a series of asteroids that humans had secretly moved into position over the past month. The fleet attacking Earth's orbital defenses discovered that destroying the obvious military satellites didn't help. Humans had hidden their real weapons in plain sight, disguised as space junk and old equipment. Battlemaster watched in growing horror as his mighty fleet was divided and conquered by tactics they'd never trained for. "They're not fighting the way they're supposed to," he raged. "Where are their proper warships? Where are their standard defense platforms?" In the command center, General Miller allowed himself a small smile. "Send the message to all commands," he ordered. "Begin final phase." Across Earth, hidden bunkers opened to reveal humanity's real military power, not the obvious forces the aliens had evaluated, but a combination of innovative weapons and tactics that no one had expected. Electromagnetic pulse generators hidden in old radio towers, kinetic strike platforms disguised as telecommunications satellites, ground-based weapons that used the Earth's magnetic field to enhance their power. "You see," Miller said quietly, though the aliens couldn't hear him, "we knew we couldn't match your technology. So we didn't try. We turned our whole planet into a weapon instead." The alien fleet, caught between storms they couldn't predict, weapons they couldn't detect, and tactics they couldn't understand, began to falter. Ship after ship reported systems failures, navigation errors, and weapons malfunctions. Battlemaster stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. His mighty invasion force, the pride of the Galactic Council, was being defeated by a species they had laughed at just weeks ago. The battle for Earth had begun, and humanity was showing the galaxy why you should never judge an enemy's strength until you've seen them truly fight. 1 month after the failed invasion, the Galactic Council's chambers were silent. Battlemaster stood before the full council, his proud stance gone, his scales dim with exhaustion. Behind him, Admiral Red and several other fleet commanders waited nervously. "In our entire history," Battlemaster began, "no species has ever defeated a full council invasion force." He paused, his translator struggling to convey his mix of shame and respect. Until now. The Council's chambers displayed holographic images of Earth's defense, not the obvious military forces they had mocked, but the true strength they had discovered. Countless small innovations, unexpected tactics, and the transformation of an entire planet into a defensive weapon. On Earth, General Miller and his command staff watched the Council meeting through the communication channel they had demanded be opened. The aliens had learned that humans wouldn't accept being ignored anymore. The humans, Battlemaster continued, showed us something we have forgotten. True military strength isn't just about technology or numbers. It's about innovation, adaptation, and the will to fight. Admiral Red stepped forward. We laughed at their primitive weapons, he admitted. But while we were laughing, they were studying us, learning our weaknesses, preparing countermeasures we never imagined. The Council members watched footage from the battle. Earth's weather control systems creating storms that alien shields couldn't handle. Simple kinetic weapons enhanced by clever use of gravity and magnetism. Civilian infrastructure transformed into military assets within hours. They never tried to match our technology directly, Battlemaster explained. Instead, they found ways to use their environment against us. They turned their planet's dust, weather, and magnetic field into weapons. They hid their true strength behind a mask of weakness. In the hidden command center, Admiral Wilson smiled as she watched the aliens finally understanding what they had faced. Around her, screens showed Earth's forces already adapting and improving their defenses, learning from the recent battle. The Council's chief administrator, the highest-ranking official in their government, rose to speak. We came to Earth thinking we would find a primitive species in need of our guidance. Instead, we found teachers. The chamber stirred with surprised murmurs at these words. The humans have shown us that we have become over-reliant on technology, the administrator continued. We have forgotten the fundamental principles of warfare and defense that they still remember. On the screens, more footage played. Human soldiers fighting effectively even when their technology was disrupted, civilian populations seamlessly supporting military operations, and tactics that combined simple physics with advanced technology in ways the aliens had never considered. Therefore, the administrator announced, the Council has reached two decisions. First, Earth will be recognized as a fully independent and sovereign world, free from any Council oversight. He paused. Second, we request that Earth send military advisors to help train our forces. In the command center, General Miller stood up. Send our response, he ordered. Commander Stone, now promoted after his victory at Mars, transmitted Earth's carefully prepared message. We accept your recognition of our independence. As for military advisors, he smiled, we would be honored to teach and to learn. After all, that's another human strength. We never stop learning. The Council chamber filled with mixed reactions. Some aliens still struggled to accept this change, while others were already eager to learn from the species they had once mocked. Remember this lesson, Battlemaster concluded. Never judge an enemy by your own standards. The humans appeared weak because we looked only for strength like our own. We forgot that there are many kinds of strength. As the Council meeting ended, Earth's military leaders looked at each other with pride and determination. They had earned the galaxy's respect, not by copying alien technology, but by staying true to humanity's greatest strengths: creativity, adaptability, and the stubborn refusal to give up. So, Admiral Wilson asked General Miller, what do we teach them first? Miller smiled, looking at the stars visible through the command center's window. First, we teach them why humanity has survived every challenge we've ever faced. Not because we're the strongest, but because we never stop finding new ways to become stronger.